GPD measures the market value of all final goods and services produced in a country during a given period, usually a year. Nominal GDP is based on the prices when the output is produced. Because of inflation, however, focusing on the nominal value of GDP over time distorts the true picture. Real GDP, or GDP adjusted for inflation, in fact, declined. The Consumer Price Index measures changes over time in the cost of buying market basket of goods and services produced by a typical family. A contraction might be so severe as to be called a depression. A milder contraction is also called a recession, which is a decline in total production lasting at least 2 consecutive quarters or at least 6 months. The period between a trough and a subsequent peak is expansion, or the phase of economic activity during which the economy's total output increases. Note that expansions last longer than recessions, but the length of the full cycle varies. Increases in the amount and quality of resources, especially labor and capital. Better technology. Improvements in the rules of the game that facilitate production and exchange, such as property rights, legal systems, and customs of the market. These economic indicators are classified according to their timing relative to the ups and downs of the business. Those that predict the future changes are called leading indicators. Those that measure the ups and downs as they occur are called coincident indicators. Those that measure the ups and downs after they have already occurred called lagging indicators. Aggregate output is a composite measure of all final goods and services produced in the economy during a given period. Aggregate demand is a relationship between the average price of aggregate output and the quantity of aggregate output demanded. The aggregate demand curve shows the relationship between the price level in the economy and real GDP demanded, other things constant. The aggregate supply curve shows how much output U.S. producers are willing and able to supply at each price level, other things constant. Labor productivity is the output per unit of labor, measured as the total output divided by the hours of labor employed to produce that output. The standard of living is an economy's level of prosperity as measured by the value of goods and services produced on average per person. The economy grows because of the greater availability of resources, an improvement in the quality of resources, technological breakthroughs that make more productive use of resources, improvements in the rules of game that boost production. Human capital is accumulated knowledge, skill, and experience of the labor force. Physical capital or capital goods includes the machines, buildings, roads, airports, communication networks, and other manufactured creations used to produce goods and services. These are 2 kinds of changes in capital that can improve worker productivity. Number 1, an increase in the quantity of capital per worker. Number 2, an improvement in the quality of capital per worker as reflected by technological change. Industrial market countries or developed countries have about 60% of the world's population. They include the advanced market economies of Western Europe, North America, Australia, New Zealand, and Japan. The rest of the world, the remaining 84% of the population, consists of developing countries, which have a lower standard of living because they have less human and physical capital. The search for knowledge without regard to how that knowledge will be used is called basic research. Basic research is the first step toward technological advancement. Applied research seeks to answer particular questions or to apply scientific discoveries to the development of specific products. time required to bring together labor suppliers and labor demanders creates frictional unemployment. Frictional unemployment does not usually last long and results in a better matchup between workers and jobs. Structural unemployment results in job seekers do not have the skills demanded. Unemployment caused by seasonal changes in labor demand during the year is called seasonal unemployment. Cyclical unemployment is an increase in unemployment caused by the recession phase of the business cycle. Full unemployment occurs when there is more cyclical unemployment, relatively low unemployment. The unemployment rate is the number of people without jobs who are looking for work divided by the number in the labor force. Workers who have lost their jobs and who meet certain qualifications can receive unemployment benefits for up to 6 months, provided they actively seek work. Inflation is an increase in the economy's average price level. Inflation reduces the value of money and is usually measured on an annual basis. Extremely high inflation is called hyperinflation. Reduction in the rate of inflation is called disinflation, as occurred in the United States during the 1980s. A decrease in the price level is called deflation, as occurred in the United States during the Great Depression and recently in Japan, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. Inflation resulting from increases in aggregate demand is often called demand-pull inflation. In such cases, right afterward shift of the aggregate demand curve pulls up to the price level. Inflation stemming from decreases in aggregate supply is called cost-push inflation, suggesting that increases in the cost of production push up the price level. The nominal interest rate measures interest in terms of current dollars. The nominal rate is the one that appears on the loan agreement and the rate discussed in the news meeting. Contrast, the real interest rate measures interest in dollars of constant purchasing power as a percentage of the amount loaned. A key idea behind supply-side economics was that cutting tax rates would stimulate aggregate supply. Lower tax rates would increase the incentive to supply labor. A serious concern is that children in welfare families may end up on welfare themselves when they grow up. This is referred to as the cycle of poverty. Welfare reform is an overhaul of the welfare system in 1996 that imposed a lifetime welfare limit of 5 years per recipient and other conditions.